Good morning, Brewtube land. First time I've ever done this. Very complicated for me initially, so I've just done it impromptu, so the camera work's going to be absolutely garbage, but just bear with me. I'm sure there'll be some improvements in time to come. Today I'm going to be trying to brew an Italian style Kolsch lager / ale. It's my own recipe. I'll show you that later on. I will just be editing it, be a small edition, I would say, but I haven't even got around to editing, so I don't even know how to do that yet, so it may be a while before this comes up, and the beer may actually be ready to drink by that time, but we'll give it a go and see how we go. So I'll just show you what we're doing first of all. First thing we're doing is I'm using my ace. Just bear with me, see if I can turn the screen around. I don't know how to even do that, that's how good I am. We'll see where we are. Right, we're recording again now. Actually, I'll show you what we've got outside. It's a bit hard with the sunlight, unfortunately today. We've got the benefit of the British summer, so here we go. That's my ace in there. I've put in 14 litres of tap water, which has been treated with half a Camden tablet. I'm now going to add in 6 bottles of Aldi's still spring water. So we'll have 20 litres for the mash, and then the grains will be added in later on. As you can see, I've got some of my equipment ready, but as I say, it will be impromptu, so just bear with me. It's not going to be the best video on the earth, but we all have to start somewhere. So there we are. We're going up to a temperature on there. I don't think you'll be able to see that, unfortunately, but we're heading for a 66 degree strike mash, so that should I say, and we're boiling at 1900 watts, which I'll knock down once we get further on. I'm doing it in manual mode. I'm not using any of the systems where you can actually program it, so it's just going to be manual, so I'll be switching on and off, but we'll take it from there. So that's where we're going to start, chaps. I'll now obviously stop recording at the moment, and now we'll start and get my grain build ready, which I'll show you. Right, that's the recipe. I've done it on Brewer's Friend. I've put in some lager malt, 3.5 kilos. I'm only doing for a low ABV, and I don't tend to make high ABV beers. I tend to make it so it's sessionable for most people. 100 grams of torrefied wheat, 120 grams of corn flakes. It says flake corn there, but it's corn flakes. And we've got 500 grams of flaked rice. I'm not using flaked rice. I'm using 2 packets of already cooked rice. I believe it's a little bit better for it to mash if it's already been pre-cooked, so I'm using 500 grams of pre-cooked rice. Something missing off there. I will be adding some oat husks, obviously, because I'm expecting it to be maybe a bit of a stuck one. Hop varieties, 14 grams of Magnum for the main bittering, and then we're going to add 25 grams of SARS at 15, 25 grams of SARS at 5, and then we're going to do a we'll do a chill. We'll put it into the fermenter and leave it to cool down overnight. Put it in the garage where it's a bit cooler, and then we'll set it off with some CML Kolsch lager yeast, as long as I've got some in the fridge, which I haven't checked yet, which I should have done beforehand. But there we go, and we'll take it from there and we'll see how we go. Thank you. Right, here's the grain bill. I know it's very hard to see in the sunshine, and believe it or not, that's the rice that's being used. As I say, I've added oat husks in there. I'm expecting it to be a little bit sticky, the cornflakes and the rice, but when we'll add it in, we'll see where we go. Just while we're waiting, I thought I'd give you a little tour of my bar that I've got in the garden. I built this all myself. I retired 5 years ago. Then I came out of retirement after 3 years, got fed up. So I'm doing some part-time work now. But it's just for social aspect more than monetary, although the money always comes in handy, as you know, for new shiny steel things. But built it, got a little snug in the end, as you can see there. Lovely. 4 pumps on. Right, so we've obviously got 4 barrels below, I don't know if you can see them, and 2 coolers. So nice little setup. We've had a few parties here. We had one the other week, 20 odd people around, so yeah, we thought I'd show it. It's only a glorified shed, but it's somewhere to go, and it's my place. As I say, man cave goes a long way, with a lot of vintage items, because my wife deals in vintage items. as you can see there, cameras, all the stuff that's on the back. A lot of that, believe it or not, is vintage stuff. Some's new, but a lot of it's vintage. All the pots and thing up there, all old vintage ones. Some of them from West Germany, so they were straight after the war when they split Germany in two. But you can see some nice little items. There we are, plenty of glassware, which I think everybody's got, and a few pub clips there, nice metal ones mainly from the Sharps and Abbots, London Pride, etc. But there we are. Hopefully this will be a little bit easier than trying to do a brew day. First time ever. As I said, I just decided to do it within like 15 minutes. I'm not set up, no tripods, nothing or anything like that, so we'll just see how it goes. Then I'll have to try to find out how to edit it, but I'm sure we'll get there in the end. So I'll knock that off. We're just waiting for it coming up to mash temperature. I'll mash in and then I'll show you the mash afterwards, because obviously I haven't got facilities to be able to hold a camera and work with one hand, unlike some of you chaps who are experts at it. Right, here we go. I don't know if you can see, that's quite a thick mash. I'll take the stopper off the top, obviously, which I put in to stop the grain going down, and we'll have a go. I set my mash at roughly 69-70 minutes, so it gives me 9-10 minutes to dough in. Then I get a mash for 60, so I can dough in a little bit better, because some people do rush it, and I know some people take longer. But now we'll try and put the recirc pump on and get it recircing. This is where I'm expecting we may have problems with it being a bit thick, but we'll see how we go. Oh, wonderful, he's trying to do it one-handed, but I suppose I've got to learn how to do it at some point. Let's have a look. There we are. Cam locks down, pump closed, pump on, and there we go. You see how it works first, and then I'll put the top lid. I'll just turn the pump off and put the top lid on. Right, so we'll give it a minute. Right, there we are now, recircing. We'll obviously have to monitor that, because there's where we get the stuck mashes and it tends to rise just the level, and I have had to take it off and stir it quite a few times. A lot of it's been due to a batch of very finely crushed grain I got from HBC, which was the Irish malt, but the lager doesn't seem to be as bad. I've ordered a bag and it's back to how it was, but they said they hadn't altered the settings, but obviously something wasn't quite right. So we'll see you after the mash, and then we'll take it from there. Well, best laid plans. We intended having 25 of SARS and 25. Unfortunately, you can see there, we've only got 18, so I'm going to add in some Haresbrucker. I've got some Haresbrucker, and I'll make it up to the 25 with that. And we'll see where we'll go with that. Should be okay. It's German. Can't see it making a great deal of difference, but we'll find out in the taste test. Yes, as we expected, you can see it's sticking. The water level on the pump's rising right up. I've turned the pump off. It's because of the rice and the cornflakes, I'm sure it is. Bit glutinous and what have you, so wasn't unexpected, so we'll have to contend with that. Looks like stirring, it's going to be probably not so good for transferring, but we'll get round it somehow. Right, there we are, chaps. Got to take the top mesh off and give it a good stir. Obviously got the recirc back on, but I better have to stir it a few more times during this period. Only advantage hopefully is that it will increase the efficiency, so I might end up with a slightly stronger beer, but we'll see how that goes now, and I'll let you know how many times I have to stir it during the mash. The mash seems to have steadied itself down now. The water level's not, well, I say water level, the wort level's not rising anymore, so I've stirred it. I'll give it a good stir. Seems to have settled down, hopefully. May not have to stir it again, or maybe just the once during the mash, but seems to be running okay at the moment now. Well, the mash has gone better than expected. After having to stir it once, it's been fine since then, so hopefully we'll get most of the drainage off without too many issues while I'm sparging. Right, mash finished, so pump off. Turn it off at the blue tap first. Let it drain a little bit. Turn the pump off down at the bottom as well. Just give it a second or two to drain, and ready then to start the sparge once I fitted the mesh top.
Right, here we go with the first kettle of sparge. I just roughly boil it up using one of these digital thermometers to roughly the similar temperature to the sparge water, to the mash water should I say, and then I'll put 5 or 6, 7 depending on the volume I need to boil it.
Right, here we go now. First kettle of water in. Probably not the best method, but I don't have time to start doing extremely refined sparges just to get a few more points of efficiency. I'd rather spend my time enjoying my brew day than spending hours doing laborious things. But there we are, that's the first one. The rest will go in and then hopefully we'll get up to boil and then we'll add the hops. Well, the mash went quite well, the sparge went quite well actually. It didn't stick at all. I've now got, well, it's showing 30 litres on there, but I think you'll find that it's probably near 28.5, 29. I tend to be optimistic to the measurements on these. So there, we'll just wait for it to come into the boil, then we'll put in the first additions in. Well, here we go now, removing the grain, spent grain. Best way I do it, I'm trying to do this one-handed, as you chaps will know. Is put a white plastic bag over the top. And then I'm going to have to put it down to do this and then just turn it over into the bag. Then hopefully it's not too bad then to clean the rest up. There we are, tipped over, and that's now ready to be cleaned. So start the clean up process, which is probably the worst part of any brew day. And there we are now, not far off the boil. We're just getting up to it, it's just starting to sizzle a little bit. It's not quite up there fully. I've got all the hops ready. So Magnum 14 grams, 25 of SARS at 15 I think, if I remember, and I had 15 SARS and I had to top it up with 10 of Haresbrook, and that's going to be at 5. Also got half a tablet of Protoflock or Worthlock, whatever you want to call it. Right, in we go with the first hop addition. 14 grams of Magnum. Last addition going in, 15 of SARS and 10 of Haresbrook. As I said, it was a little bit short on the SARS, but never mind, I'm sure it won't make that much difference. I'm removing the hops, and I'm going to boil for a further 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I think I've got too much in volume, and I've done a quick refractometer and it says it's at 1035, 36, and it should be at 40. So I'm just going to try and boil a bit off. I think I've added too much on the sparge, but we'll see how it turns out. I'll put a boil on, take the hops out, pour a boil on for a further 10 minutes. I've cranked it up to full power for 15 minutes. Hopefully that should knock the volume down a little bit. It's showing a little bit high at the moment, so that's probably where some of the extra points have disappeared, but I don't think I'm going to hit my targets fully anyway, but we won't be far away. That's the boil over now, the extra 15 minutes. It's knocked it down to about 25 litres on the marker, but I think it's still a little bit high, but we'll lose a bit of gravity, but hey ho, it's not really for me, it's for the lightweights who drink lager. So I don't know if you can see that, but it seems to be running reasonably clear. So it looks like we've got away without that major stuck sparge that we thought we might have had. So that's a bit of a bonus. We'll just keep running it until it's full. We might have to, obviously the hop spider might pick some up at the back end when it starts getting towards the bazooka filter and it starts clogging, but we'll see what happens there. And then hopefully I think we might end up with a little bit more volume than we thought we were going to get, and then it might be down 2 or 3 points, but we'll see where we are when we've finished. Right, as you can see, we ended up with about 23.5, so not so much more than I thought. I thought we might have been 24, but it's run through okay. Plenty of crud left in the boiler, as you can see. Take that in, take the hop spider out, see if you can see. So it's done a good job actually, in fairness. There we are, cleaned up. Everything done now. So we've put the fermenter in the garage where it's coolest. Leave it probably overnight and we'll put the yeast in the morning, all being well. And then I'll update you if later on, once it's all brewed, etc., if everything goes fine.